Welcome to another episode of the Banter and Binges podcast.
I'm Gabby,
And I'm Quase.
and today we are watching Once Upon a Time Season 1, Episodes 3 and 4.
Now, this episode will contain spoilers of the show. So, for those folks who have not seen Once Upon a Time, beware. And for our followers, we are going to continue in the story.
So, Season 1, Episode 3 is called Snow Falls. It was written by Liz Tagler and directed by Dean White. It aired on November 6, 2011, with 11.4 million viewers. This was before the streaming model, so this was like way back when you actually had to catch it. Okay, so the show opens in the Enchanted Forest. You see a carriage taking Prince Charming and his new fiancée, Abigail, who is a complete brat, down a trail when they run into a tree. Charming realizes that the tree's been cut just as Snow steals a bag of jewels from the carriage. Charming catches her, but she hits him in the face with a rock and she escapes. He screams after her that he'll always find her. He flashed to Storybrooke. Mary Margaret is on a date with Dr. Whale when she realizes he's staring at Ruby's butt.
Obviously
Staring very intently. Mary Margaret asks for the check. She gives up. As she's walking home, she stumbles across Emma in her car looking for places to live in the paper. Emma complains that the town has no vacancies, and Mary Margaret is like, oh, it must be the curse. And Emma asks her what she's doing out so late, and Mary Margaret says, well, I'm a teacher, not a nun. I was on a date and it didn't go well. Emma asks if he at least paid, and Mary Margaret says no. And then she offers Emma a spare room in her apartment, which Emma declines. The next day at the hospital, Mary Margaret's class is visiting patients, and Henry notices the coma patient, John Doe, and he asks Mary Margaret if he's going to be okay and if she knows him. Mary Margaret tells him, he's been like this. I've been working here. I don't know if he's going to be okay. And that, obviously I don't know him. Nobody's come to claim him. And Henry kind of comments that, oh, so he's all alone. And Mary Margaret's like, yeah, it's quite sad, but let's get out of this room, because I don't think they were actually supposed to be in the room, because it's segregated from
it's
the rest of the patients.
It's supposed to be what I gather an ICU room.
Yeah.
So they are not supposed to be there.
Yeah. So Mary Margaret kind of shoos him out. And then later at Henry's little play castle, Henry tells Emma that he found her father, and he's in the hospital in a coma. And he uses the actor Josh Dallas actually has this scar in real life, but he uses this little scar on John Doe's face as proof, because Charming got a scar on his face when Snow White hit him with the rock. So that's his proof that this is Emma's father. He says that they have to tell Mary Margaret, but Emma doesn't really like the idea. She's tells him, telling someone that their true love is in a coma is kind of rough, and you don't want to give anybody false hope. And Henry's very insistent. He says, well, we need to have Mary Margaret read their story to John Doe. And Emma agrees, but says, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it my way. I'm going to tell Mary Margaret she needs to read to him. Later on, Emma tells Mary Margaret that Henry wants her to read to John Doe, or tells Mary Margaret Henry's got a very active imagination and she can't talk him out of his beliefs. Mary Margaret agrees, like they're on the same page, that this is a way to get Henry to the truth without hurting him. She's going to read to him, nothing's going to happen, and Henry's going to be like, oh, okay, fairy tales are just that. That night, Mary Margaret sits down in the bed next to John Doe and reads them their story. She gets closer to the end of the story when she's talking about the moment that they fall in love, and he grabs her hand. She calls in Dr. Whale, which has to be awkward.
Yeah.
Right after a failed date.
After a failed date, sure. And you got to see him again?
Yeah. She calls in Dr. Whale and she tells him that that he grabbed her, that, and he looks at the machine and he's like, oh, that's impossible. And asks her what she was doing. And she was like, oh, I was just reading him a story. And he gaslights her and is like, well, maybe you fell asleep. Maybe you heard the machine register something and you misunderstood. And, go home and get some sleep. And she walks out of the room and he immediately calls Regina and tells Regina that there was a fluctuation on the monitor and that Mary Margaret said that he grabbed her, which Regina looks very concerned.
Absolutely. And you kind of wonder what kind of relationships the mayor has with these characters. So, it was kind of a surprise to see that Dr. Whale, is in league with Regina too. So, that was a surprise for me.
Yeah, because last episode it was Archie giving Emma the file and then ratting her out immediately.
Right. So, who can you really trust in Storybrooke?
Well, Mary Margaret gets home and she flips through the pages and keeps reading the story. Go back to the Enchanted Forest and Snow is counting her money so she can flee the area. Walks out of her, log.
It's like a carved out little hovel in a tree.
Yes.
And
yes.
So she's built that as her hideout.
She walks out, takes 3 steps, and gets caught in a net. Charming comes around the corner, and they kind of have a little banter back and forth, and he tells her he needs his jewels back that she stole. She insists that he cuts her down. He says, hey, I need this ring back. I'm going to give it to my fiance, Abigail. And she kind of laughs and says, she says the hag with the bad attitude, which 100%
yes
describes Abigail to a T.
Absolutely.
She's pretty, but she has a bad attitude about everything. She is not satisfied. She is not happy. She is not content with anything.
And she is absolutely not afraid to show her discontent.
Yes. She says he must be getting something amazing to have agreed to that woman. And that it's all deals. Marriages are all deals. It's never about true love. And she says, well, let me guess. Her kingdom wants to take over your kingdom, and this is an act to avoid war. He doesn't disagree. He says it's a merger and that it's none of her business and that she's going to help him get the ring back or he's going to turn her into the Queen's guards. And he has her wanted poster.
Which Snow was shocked to see.
And immediately changes her tune.
Absolutely.
Immediately changes her tune. She says, well, I wouldn't want to stand in your way of true love. And he cuts her down.
Yeah, she was compromised and really had no choice but to cooperate with the prince.
Yeah. Back in Storybrooke, Emma and Henry meet Mary Margaret at the diner, and she tells them that John Doe responded by grabbing her hand. Henry gets super excited. Says, you have to read to him again. He's remembering. Mary Margaret agrees. And she tells Mary Margaret, she's like, you don't believe that he's Prince Charming. And Mary Margaret's like, of course not. But in some way we made a connection. In some way I touched him. They show up at the hospital to find that John Doe is missing. Regina's in the room because she's his emergency contact. She brought him in years ago after finding him on the side of the road with no ID. Whale says he needs to get back to the hospital immediately, that he's been on feeding tubes and under constant supervision for years. If he doesn't get back, him being okay is not likely. Graham is also there, and Regina tells Graham, get to work, go find him. Graham and Emma and Mary Margaret go to the security and ask them questions. And Emma notices that they're looking at the wrong tape because the kids' banners that they put up when they came to visit the hospital weren't up.
And this shows Emma's keen detective skills on display.
Yeah. Because no one else noticed, not even Graham. Yeah. Graham's looking at the tape like, and she's like, hey, this isn't even the right tape. So they find the real tape and see that John Doe is walked out alone towards the woods about 4 hours prior. Back in the Enchanted Forest, Snow is leading Charming through the woods to a bridge. And they're walking and talking, and as they're walking, he notices that she has dark fairy dust around her neck. And he takes it, and she tells him it's a weapon. It can transform the worst enemy into a form that's easily squashed. She tells him that the charges on her wanted poster are lies, and she's trying to escape to another realm because the queen wants her dead. He asks her why the queen wants her dead, and she says the queen blames her for ruining her life. He asks her if she did, and she says yes, which is, it's a little bit of a plot hole, because at this point in the timeline, Snow White doesn't know the real reason why the queen. You'll see it in further episodes. I'm gonna leave it there. Snow does not know what happened, but she says, she did ruin the queen's life. She asks to get some water from a river type situation, and he's like, yeah, sure. And as he's bending down to get water, she kicks him in the stomach and escapes him. She runs through the forest, runs immediately into the queen's guards. The queen's guards capture her. They're about to cut out her heart when Charming throws a sword into the back of the guard that has the knife to her chest. He fights the other guards, saves her. And she was surprised. She's like, you saved me. And he's like, well, it was the honorable thing to do. And we're going to see that honor is extremely important to Charming. Doing the right thing and being on the up and up is the utmost importance to Charming.
Yeah.
Then we go back to Storybrooke, and Graham is leading Emma and Mary Margaret through the woods. Graham says something about, oh, this is my field, I'll find him. And he walks away, and Mary Margaret looks at Emma and is like, well, don't you find people too? And Emma's like, well, yeah, but like the people I look for run to Vegas. They don't really go in the woods.
Kind of out of her element.
Yeah. And Mary Margaret asks how she got into that line of work. And Emma kind of like looks a little like she does not want to share at all. Mary Margaret says, oh, is it because of your parents? And Emma looks at her like, what do you like? How do you know this? And Mary Margaret explains that Henry had told her that Emma was from a similar situation. As they're talking about this, Henry appears and is like, he's looking for John Doe is looking for you. He remembers, and you need to stop looking for him and let him find you. Which both of the women are like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about. You need to go home. This is not a place for you to be in. They continue to walk, and Mary Margaret finds John Doe in a creek. And she kisses him because they're both into necrophilia, I guess. It's weird. Wakes up and is really dazed and just says, you saved me. And she asks who he is, and he says he doesn't know. They take him back to the hospital, where Abigail, who is now Catherine, his wife, shows up and thanks Mary Margaret for finding him and explains that a few years prior, they weren't getting along. And she told him if he didn't like it, he could leave. And David left, which is his cursed name. And she assumed that he had left town. But now that she knows that he's here and they're back together, she can do what she's always wanted to do and apologize and get a second chance with him. Dr. Whale says he is physically fine, but he has amnesia, that he woke up delirious and was looking for something. Henry says, or someone, and Dr. Whale's like, yeah, I guess. And then Henry tells Mary Margaret, don't let any of this discourage you. He was looking for you.
Now, it's amazing, just to give a shout out to Henry. Henry just gets, how did he run from his house to the woods with the flashlight? This
Right.
is a 9-year-old, 10-year-old?
He's 10.
What an amazing kid.
And it's an expansive woods, and he found them. Like, I get lost in the city. Like, how do you run through woods without, like, street signs and know where you are?
Yeah. And I think it also gives a hint that Henry is special.
Yes.
and you will see Henry develop further along in the series. But I just thought that was a moment to just give the little boy praise. He's just persistent and he will not stop no matter what consequences he faces.
And it's kind of funny to me because it kind of reminds me of like Regina never knows where he is. Never.
No.
She always thinks he's at the arcade and he's hanging out with Emma, or he's at home and he's in the woods. And it kind of reminded me of like when we were younger, like our parents were like, go outside and play, and they didn't know where we were.
Yeah.
Where nowadays, like, your kid has a phone, you know where they are all the time, you're in contact with them all the time. And it's just kind of like a funny little throwback to when I was little and I was running
Yeah.
all over creation, and my parents had no idea where I was.
Same thing. My mom would say, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, hey, we're gonna go play basketball. We're gonna go to the park and just this or that. And that was good enough for my mom. She just said, be back home before the street lights come on,
Yep.
or a specific time, and that was it.
Did
So,
your mom do the thing where she'd have you call her from a friend's house? Like if you were going to go play at Joe's house, he'd be like, okay, give me a call later before you leave so I know kind of when to expect you home.
yeah,
Like do a call-in or
call
check-in.
in and check in, but for the most part, she didn't even do that. I was on a bus and train and stuff at a young age. So please comment and tell us if you had a similar childhood.
I think it depends on how old our viewers are. Depends on where
Yeah.
they land.
Yeah.
But Emma tells Regina something's wrong here, that it doesn't make sense, that Catherine's been here all these years and has never looked for him, or John Doe has never or David has never looked for David, has never found David, and Regina only found her now. Regina explains they found Catherine because of Emma. That Emma looking at the tape gave them kind of an inspiration to look at past tapes, and that John Doe had been calling out for a Catherine in his sleep, and then once they realized that, it was kind of easy to piece things together. And she tells Emma that Storybrooke is larger than what it seems, and bad things happen here too.
Yeah, this was another one of Emma's insights. And you see once again that Emma's sense and detective skill, is on display again with Regina. And now Regina has to work a lot harder now. She already has lost Henry. So now she has to deal with Henry and Emma. And you can see that the tension growing, but you can also see Regina's concern that her, her mirage might fall. So
The curse is weakening.
yeah, and so she's definitely more on guard now.
Definitely. We go back to the Enchanted Forest, and Snow is leading Charming to the Troll Bridge, which is funny because when David woke up, he went to the Toll Bridge, and they kind of fall in love, I guess, or begin to fall in love at the Troll Bridge.
Yeah, you can definitely see that they have feelings for each other that are unspoken.
At the Troll Bridge. So Snow leads Charming to the Troll Bridge, and she puts coins on the side of the bridge, and the trolls come out, and they are so ugly. Like, I love how they design these trolls. These trolls are ugly as all get out. The trolls are immediately suspicious of Charming. But Snow tells them, hey, I want to make a deal. You can have all of your money back. Just give me back the ring. You can keep everything else. And the head troll agrees. Gestures to one of the other trolls to give the pouch back. And Charming is a little eager. He comes across as too eager. And the trolls freak out. And they search him, and they find Snow's wanted poster.
Now it's trouble for both of them. So you now have Charming or the prince and Snow White in danger because the trolls now are turning their attention to Snow and would be happy to get a reward from the queen for turning her in.
So Charming immediately starts to fight them off, and Snow runs away. And she's running away, and she's like, follow me. I know the forest better than they do. And as she kind of stops and turns around and realizes that Charming's been caught, they're about to kill him. She heads back and uses the dark fairy dust on the trolls to save him. And he it's kind of cute because he's like, oh, you saved me. And she's like, well, I thought it was the honorable thing to do. She's like, besides, how can I let Prince Charming die? And he tells her, I have a name. It's James. And she's like, well, I like Charming better. They're walking away from the troll bridge, and they stop, and he gives her the gold, and she gives him the pouch. He takes the ring out. They're looking at it, and he says, well, I know it's not your style. And she says, well, there's only one way to find out. And she puts the ring on. And
the ring fits perfect.
The ring fits perfect. And it's that moment where he just looks at her.
Yeah.
And you can tell that something's changed. And she takes it off and says, oh, it's not me at all. I'm sure your fiance will love it. He offers her the jewels because all he needs is the ring. He offers her the jewels, but she declines. She says, hey, we both got what we wanted. I got the money. You got your stuff back. He says, well, if you need anything, I'll find you. And she said, I almost believe that. And they part. But as she's walking away, he stops and he's watching her walk away. And then he turns and walks away. She stops and turns and watches him walk away. So you kind of see that they both aren't quite sure about parting, but they do it anyway.
Right.
And then we go back to Storybrooke. Mary Margaret is outside of the ICU,
Yep.
the ICU, room, and she's watching through the windows, and she watches Catherine give David a hug, and David just stares at Mary Margaret over Catherine's shoulder, and Mary Margaret's spinning the ring, that Prince Charming's ring from the Enchanted Forest. She's spinning it around her finger, and then you see her at her house sitting on the steps in her apartment spinning the ring on her finger, and Emma shows up, knocks on the door, asks Mary Margaret if the apartment's the room is still available, and that's the end of the episode. What did you think?
I think it was a great episode. It centered around Snow White and Prince Charming. I liked the way that they went back to the Enchanted Forest to show how they met, and of course, it may surprise you because we think of Snow White and we think of the original animated movie, but in Once Upon a Time, she is actually a bandit and a fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
The queen wants her dead, and she has to use her wits to stay alive.
Yeah.
So, Snow White now, what you were expecting, it kind of bends your expectations because, we have a beautiful princess, of course, in the original Snow White movie, but now you have a rugged, rough
Bandit.
And I thought that was awesome. It was a way to show how she lived, and she did mention the dwarves. The prince called them little people, and in the episode, Snow White corrects him.
He calls the trolls little people.
Yeah, and Snow White said, no, you're thinking about dwarves. So you're still making the connections and the Easter eggs, from the story.
Yep. And did you know this episode's actually the actress that plays Snow White, Jennifer Goodwin. This is her favorite episode. She's went on record to say this is out of the series, this is her favorite episode.
It's a fantastic
It
episode.
is.
It really is. And I believe that it was executed well, and the writing was good. You know, you immediately see real chemistry
Mm-hmm.
between um, the actors.
Snow White and Prince Charming.
Yeah. There's a connection. You know, you've watched certain shows where you have like a buddy cop thing or a mismatched pair, and you know it just doesn't seem quite right. But this instance, it was perfect. The actors had a longing for each other, but they were reticent to act on it, and the expressions, the gesticulations, and some of it was very subtle. I just thought it was very well acted. It's a
Yeah,
good
the
episode.
moment when she puts on the ring and he just looks at her, and just that moment is amazing. The look on his face when he plays it perfectly.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I was interested to see the ring end up back with Mary Margaret,
yeah,
because a lot of the things we'll see in future episodes, a lot of the fairy tale stuff, the like little trinkets and stuff end up in Mr. Gold's pawn shop. But for some reason, that ring, it didn't go to David. It didn't go to Catherine. It didn't go to Mr. Gold's pawn shop. It went to Mary Margaret. So I found that kind of an interesting little
yeah, yeah.
hint to where
yeah.
things are going in the future.
Yeah, very intriguing too. And you get that little tease, and of course, if you're thinking about Mr. Gold, you know you're going to see more of his connection to things as it progresses. Again, where this is a wonderful episode and well acted, but it also is a continuation and a setup episode as we start to see things happen. So now that our John Doe is awake and his name is David in the curse world, you start to see things change. And some of those connections are being made. And I love to see Regina on her toes. But the realization that David was married, when they zoomed into Mary Margaret's face, you could just see that she was crestfallen.
Oh, when she finds out about Catherine.
Oh, she just was brokenhearted, and she played that part very well.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it goes in and fades, as you said, to her sitting at home on her steps, twirling the ring around, not knowing what to do
Mm-hmm.
about life. And I just think it's great. Mary Margaret is kind of, you know, the character that you're rooting for.
Yeah.
You know, you're rooting for her, and it's not hard. It's easy to root for Mary Margaret. You know, she's genuinely kind and giving,
Mm-hmm.
and you want her to win.
Yeah, you definitely want her to
You
win.
want her to win, and
Well, and I think I don't think she like bought into the curse aspect of it, but she felt like her and David had a legitimate connection, that she connected with him on a level that other people hadn't. And I think that's what kind of pushed her back so much when she found out he was married, because I don't know if she was like, oh, this could be the one, but she was like, this could be something.
yeah,
And then she finds out he's married, is like, oh, it can't be anything.
yeah, and just watching her react to it was just, you just felt really bad for her, and we'll see how progresses, but again, it's a good setup episode. You have Emma now accepting Mary Margaret's offer to come live with her.
Yep.
And now, of course, the Queen, Regina, says that, your problem is that you don't have roots anywhere. You need to go somewhere and
That's in the next episode.
be there. That's in the next episode. So I just spoiled that. Yikes, sorry.
That's in the next episode. We're going to the next episode anyway. It's fine. So the fourth episode is called The Price of Gold. It was written by David H. Goodman and directed by David Solomon. It aired November 13th, 2011 with 11.36 million viewers. This episode centers around Cinderella. Not my favorite episode. Cinderella is not my favorite. I have issues with Cinderella. I really do. But the girl that plays Cinderella, I don't remember her name right now, but she did a really good job.
Yeah.
She plays a really good Cinderella. So we start off the episode by seeing Cinderella sweeping the stones at her house while her stepmother and stepsisters leave for the ball. Her fairy godmother shows up and tells her she's going to change her life. The fairy godmother suddenly explodes and is replaced by Rumpelstiltskin, who says Cinderella doesn't need to be frightened, that he saved her from the fairy godmother's darkness because all magic comes at a price. Cinderella begs him to help her. Rumpelstiltskin says to her if he does help her and she can shoulder the consequences, she will owe him a favor, which she agrees to. She tells him she will give him anything if he gets her out of this life. He provides a contract that she signs without reading. He transforms her into a beautiful princess in glass slippers and tells her to have a good time, but to watch the clock. The Cinderella dress that he puts her in is gorgeous. Yeah. It fits her like a glove. It is. I cannot say enough about this dress.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And it's the perfect shade of blue. Yeah. It's a little darker than the traditional blue Cinderella dress, but it's perfect on her.
Yeah, she looks beautiful, and again, you have Rumpelstiltskin, interfering with things and asking for favors, and this is kind of a combination of the old original Rumpelstiltskin story with the poor woman who doesn't know what to do, and of course, in prison because she needs to spin straw into gold. Of course, the old Rumpelstiltskin story. So this was a twist on that, and instead of gold, it's something else. And we'll find out what that something else is
a little bit later. So we go to Storybrooke, and Emma and Henry are walking to the school bus. He asks if they should have code names, and she kind of freezes a little bit, and she's like, oh, well, you can just call me Emma for now. He gets on the bus, and Sheriff Graham pulls up in his police car. Graham gets out and thanks Emma for helping find John Doe and offers her a job as a deputy. And Emma's a little hesitant, and hey, just think about it. Just think about it. A little bit later, Emma is sitting in the diner when Regina comes in and asks how her walk with Henry was. She tells Emma she isn't worried about her, that that Emma doesn't stay anywhere for long, and for something to grow, it needs roots, and she doesn't have any. And as she carries on her transient life, she should make a clean break from Henry.
That's the spoiler.
That was his spoiler.
My apologies.
So Regina walks out, and Emma spills hot cocoa on herself. She goes into the laundry room and finds pregnant Ashley Boyd, Cinderella, crying. Ashley has turned the white sheets pink and is just, anyone who's been pregnant understands. She's having a meltdown over something that doesn't need to be meltdown over. But if you've been pregnant, you understand where you've had it up to here, and you're done. You're done. Ashley tells Emma she's felt contractions last night and that the baby could come any day now, and that no one thinks she can do this. Emma says, screw them. She was 18 when she had her baby, and she knows what it's like, and whatever she's considering doing, it's her choice. If she wants people to look at her differently, she needs to make them look at her differently. Later that night, we see Mr. Gold leaving his pawn shop just before Ashley breaks in. She searches for a contract, and when he catches her, he comes back into the pawn shop. She pepper sprays him, and she steals the contract and leaves. And then you see Regina the next day getting ready for a Saturday council meeting. She tells Henry she will be back at 5 o'clock sharp. And as soon as she leaves, he sneaks out.
Told you, this boy is persistent.
And she don't know where he is at any given time.
No.
Like,
all.
I'm so glad I know my son is in his bedroom playing video games. Like,
really?
I know exactly where my son is all the time. Like, I don't have to worry about him running off as soon as I turn my back. We see Emma unpacking at Mary Margaret's house. She has 3 boxes of belongings, which Mary Margaret kind of is like, oh, is that all? And Emma's like, oh, I'm not sentimental. And Mary Margaret's like, well, I guess it makes moving easier. And Mr. Gold shows up at the apartment. He asks to talk to Emma, and he asks Emma to help find Ashley and says that she's taken something very valuable. Emma asks why he doesn't go to the police, and he tells her, I don't want Ashley to get in trouble. She's young, and she's pregnant, and she's, all over the place, and I don't want her to get in trouble. I just want my property back. But he declines to tell her what the property is. And as Mr. Gold is leaving, Henry shows up, and he says he wants to hang out with Emma and begs her to help. Then we go back to the Enchanted Forest, and Cinderella is watching the fireworks from the balcony of the castle. She tells the prince, Thomas, that every year she would watch the fireworks from afar, and she knew it meant something special was happening at the castle. And now they're for her and their wedding. So, which tells you, they at the ball they met, they fell in love. Everything happened the way it did in the original fairy tale.
Yep, exactly.
Later on that night, the king, Thomas's dad, dances with Cinderella and makes some super weird comments about her and his son breeding soon. And it's weird. It made me uncomfortable.
Breeding just seems to be just icky.
Is it an icky word for me to use? I'm sorry. He makes weird comments about them having children. Cinderella turns and she sees Rumpelstiltskin, and he tells her he wants to make sure she got everything she desired. She says yes, and she asks what he wants, and he tells her he wants her firstborn child. A little bit later, Cinderella, after finding out that she's pregnant, packs to run away when the prince is coming in from a hunting trip that they ended early because of the weather or because things weren't going well for them. They ended the hunting trip early. Yeah. And he asks where they are going, and she kind of just looks at him, and he was like, oh, what? Like, where are you going? What's going on? And she tells him she's pregnant. He gets super excited, but he asks why she's upset, that this is a great thing. And she tells him, the night we met, it wasn't my fairy godmother that sent me. It was Rumpelstiltskin, and he didn't understand the price of magic. But now he has come to collect, and he wants their baby. Thomas is really calm about it. And it's like...
surprisingly so.
Like, if that was me, I would be like, excuse me? You made a deal with Rumpelstiltskin? And he says, hey, the answer is simple. You just need to make another deal with him. That's it. In Storybrooke, Emma goes to talk to Ruby, who is Ashley's best friend. And Ruby says that Ashley's baby's father, Sean, left as soon as she got pregnant. She says that Ashley is really trying to get her life together and do the right thing. And if she wants to find her, maybe she should start with Sean. So Emma shows up at Sean's house and tells him Ashley may be in trouble. Sean's dad comes out and says, well, my son doesn't have anything to do with that girl anymore. And Emma realizes that Sean's father made them break up. And the father confirms it and tells Sean to go inside, and then tells Emma that he made a good deal for Ashley to give up her baby, which Emma immediately connects the dots and realizes that Mr. Gold's property is the baby. As they're driving away, Henry is kind of freaking out. She says Ashley can't break a deal with Mr. Gold. Nobody breaks deals with Mr. Gold. They go back to the diner and Emma confronts Ruby, and she realizes that Ruby's car is missing and that Ruby sent her to see Sean to give Ashley a head start. Ruby says, Ashley left for Boston about a half an hour ago. Emma races towards the town line. Henry, again, is freaking out that Ashley can't leave and bad things happen when people try to leave. They get to the town line and they find Ashley's car on the side of the road, and Ashley's kind of in the brush over on the side of the road in labor. They get her into the beetle, and they rush her to the hospital as she's begging Emma not to take her back. She's begging Emma to take her to Boston, and Emma says, hey, we don't have time to go to Boston. Like, you're going to have this baby. We don't have time. Emma does tell her, if she wants to keep this baby, she has to grow up and she can't ever leave. And Ashley says, I want my baby. So they take her to the hospital. And then we flip back to the Enchanted Forest. Cinderella, Thomas, and Charming are making a plan to capture Rumpelstiltskin. Cinderella is going to tell him that it's twins and propose a new deal. Charming gives her a special quill that will trap him with magic. She asks what will happen if this magic has a price, and they tell her not to worry, and she agrees to the plan. Cinderella tells Rumpelstiltskin she wants to alter the bargain, that she's having twins and will give up both of them to ensure their kingdom is prosperous, that they can't grow any food and their people are starving, and tells him, I can have more children. I can't make crops grow where the soil is dead. So you make sure that we're prosperous and you can have both babies. He agrees, but he warns her that if she uses magic to imprison him, that her debt to him would only grow. Which kind of tells me he knows what's going on.
Yeah, he has a sense of
what's happening. Mm-hmm. He also remarks about the quill when she hands him the contract. She hands him the quill, and he's like, "Oh, what a lovely quill! And where did you get it?" And she's like, "Oh, it's one from my castle. Like, it's just a normal quill." And so he definitely is suspicious.
Right.
But he signs the contract anyway, and he's immediately frozen by magic. He tells her that no one breaks deals with him, and no matter what land she finds herself in, he will have her baby. Cinderella asks if they've really won, that she was so scared that she would have to go back to her previous life. Then she starts having contractions. Thomas goes to get her water, and he disappears. Her contractions pass, but her prince is completely gone. Charming locks Rumpelstiltskin in a cage, and Cinderella runs to it, demanding that he tell her where Thomas is. He says he doesn't know, but all magic comes with a price, and until that baby is his, she will never see Thomas again. Back in Storybrooke, the nurse tells Emma that the baby is a healthy girl, and Mr. Gold shows up and thanks Emma for bringing him his merchandise. Merchandise.
Yeah.
Emma is like, hey, you can't have this girl's baby. Like, that's not a thing. You can't. And she makes a deal with Mr. Gold for a future favor if Ashley can keep the baby, which Mr. Gold agrees. Emma goes in to see Ashley and the baby. She asks Ashley the baby's name, and Ashley tells her it's Alexandra. Emma tells her she took care of Mr. Gold. The baby is hers. Ashley thanks her, and Emma realizes how late it is and rushes Henry home. She suggests the codename Pumpkin in honor of Cinderella, and he says he has a better one in mind, but she's not ready yet. And then we, like in rapid succession, have a bunch of different scenes. Regina's leaving a hotel room, And she's telling someone, as she's getting ready, she's telling someone that's in the shower that they left their socks under the bed. So she wasn't at a city council meeting. Henry arrives home seconds before Regina does. Sean arrives at the hospital, apologizes for leaving Ashley. He brings these like little shoes in for the baby that are huge. Absolutely huge on this newborn. Like, it's obvious he doesn't know how to shop for a newborn. But he's trying.
He is.
He's trying, and it's cute.
Yeah, kudos to him. He did his best.
Yeah. The shoes are like 4 sizes too big, but they are cute shoes. They decide to give it another go. And then Emma calls Graham and agrees to the deputy job. And you see Graham on the phone talking to Emma, and then it kind of pans out, and you see that Graham is in the hotel room. And then Graham reaches under the bed and retrieves his socks. So, what'd you think?
Juicy.
Juicy.
Juicy. This is the soapy part of the show that, for those of us who grew up with soap operas, this is the type of stuff that we're seeing now. So that revelation was very interesting. So there's a sexual relationship between the sheriff and the mayor.
Yes.
Yet Sheriff Graham wants Emma to be his deputy,
Which complicates everything.
which is going to complicate everything.
Like, Regina's gonna be so mad. She's gonna be so mad.
So that's intriguing.
And there's also that, like, this subtle sexual tension between Graham and Emma too.
Yeah, definitely you can sense that as well. I also had to think about why Mr. Gold wants a baby.
Yeah. It's an odd thing to make a deal for.
Right.
And was the deal that Mr. Gold was going to adopt the baby and like raise the baby as his own, or was Mr. Gold a middleman to adopt the baby out?
Yeah. What did he want?
Because
to
he
do?
refers to the baby as merchandise. So you would
Yeah.
think he's made a deal with someone else to get money or a favor or something back to give them the baby.
Yes.
And then he made the deal with Sean's dad.
Right. And the fact that he, referred to the newborn as merchandise, is intriguing enough. So I just kind of wondered what he would have done, if he did get the baby.
Yeah.
Also, well, we got to talk about Regina and Graham. So,
Yeah. I don't even know. Like, what, Graham, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, so now we have a new triangle. So we have Henry, Regina, and Emma. Now we have Sheriff Graham.
Regina and Emma.
So, the plot thickens, we should say.
Yeah.
And, also, and we got to make sure that we mention the hospital scene where Emma, takes Mr. Gold aside and says, "Listen, you can't have this baby."
It's a very enchanted forest type thing to do. To be like, I'm going to take your baby as a favor for something I've done for you in the past. And what did Ashley do was it that Ashley owed Mr. Gold a favor and then he was like, I want the baby? Or was it just Ashley was pregnant and Mr. Gold was like, hey, I'll pay you off if you give me the baby? Like, what were the circumstances that Ashley owed him the baby?
Right. And, Thomas, Sean's dad.
No, Thomas is Sean.
Thomas is Sean.
Thomas is his fairy tale persona. Sean is his name in Storybrooke.
Right. So, in Storybrooke, his dad mentioned that he went through a lot to make this deal,
Mm-hmm.
and so you see now that there was some type of meeting of the minds between them and Mr. Gold for this baby. So, I wonder what's going to happen because Emma, of course, stepped in and said, "Listen, I'll give you a favor if you let Ashley keep this baby."
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Gold
Loves
said,
being owed favors.
said, "Okay, it's a deal."
Which it tells you that whatever Mr. Gold has in mind as the favor that Emma owes him is worth more than money to him.
Yes, yes, because he agreed just
Instantly.
instantly. So, what has Emma done?
Yeah.
She's already in enough trouble as it is. So now you're entangled with Mr. Gold too. So this is, like I said, the soapy aspect of the show, which I think is great. And having these revelations come out was very enjoyable. And also, again, Emma, you know, each episode becomes more entrenched in Storybrooke and is affecting many people. So now, of course, Regina's dig at her about having roots and staying put is coming true,
Mm-hmm.
but it's coming true in Storybrooke, not Boston or some other place. So, of course, Regina's going to have to deal with Emma's presence. She's not going anywhere.
No. No, she's not going anywhere. So I think it was a good couple episodes.
Yes, they're great episodes in themselves, and great setup episodes for the future. Um, I especially liked the episode with the presence or the focus on Charming and Snow White,
Yeah.
and I believe it's my one of my favorite episodes as well.
So
And
far, yeah.
yeah, oh, definitely, definitely. Um, Again, it was very well acted, and you're rooting for Mary Margaret. You really are rooting for her.
Mm-hmm.
You want her to, have this happy ending, and you know, you see, episode by episode that she's getting there. Of course, having the failed date with Dr. Whale.
Which he doesn't pay for. He's a
Yeah.
doctor and
Yeah.
she's a teacher. And we know teachers don't make money.
Yeah, that's dirty business.
Like I'm not only going to disrespect you. And the thing is she was like talking to him while he was staring at Ruby's butt.
Yep.
And he wasn't even trying to hide it.
Nope.
He
Not
was
at
he
all.
was just blatantly like,
So then, of course, she just she makes a realization and says, "Check, please." And you see her walking down the street, and she's just sad and doesn't know what to do. One of my favorite lines of the episode as well is when Emma asks Mary Margaret, well, why are you out so late? And she says, "I'm a teacher, not a nun."
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is funny because we were talking about it. The name Mary Margaret
Is a very nunnish name.
seems very nunnish to me. So, I thought that was particularly funny, because you know she's looking for something, and hey, I'm trying to go for it the best I can, but things keep happening. So, we're the both of us were super pleased with that episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why she got so excited about the possibility of something with David, was because she wants that happy ending. She wants the marriage. She wants the kids. She wants the happy life. And no matter where she goes in Storybrooke, she can't find that.
Right. Right. And then you get that spark between our John Doe, David, and Mary Margaret. And while he's hugging his wife,
He's looking at Mary
looking at
Margaret.
Mary Margaret.
Yeah.
So now you have kind of that throwback to the diner scene where it was Dr. Whale staring.
Yeah.
And now you have charming David
Staring at Mary Margaret.
Yeah.
The person that they're supposed to be giving their attention to, they're not.
Right.
To give their attention to who they actually want to give their attention to.
Right.
And also, it really bothers me that Ruby is constantly in the shortest of short shorts, bending over tables. That's her entire character development, is cleaning up tables in short shorts.
Yeah.
And I feel like she could be a really interesting character if they gave her something else to do.
Right.
Like, we've
Right.
already seen that she's a good friend. She's a good friend to Ashley. She flat out lies to help Ashley get ahead.
Yep.
And she cares. Obviously, even though she went about it wrong, she cared enough about Ashley to lie to Emma's face to try to help Ashley get a head start.
Yeah, definitely. And, she's presented on purpose as eye candy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, the writers are kind of doing a bait and switch on us. Ruby's just, eye candy. She's, a waitress at a diner. We think of her as promiscuous, and we're, having preconceptions of her. And, it's going to be interesting to see how her character
Progresses, yeah.
So we got a piece of it that she's more than just eye candy. She's more than just, a sexual object.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. So that was a great, because I said that was a great scene. Anything else that you can think of?
What'd you think of the wardrobe and the makeup of these couple episodes?
It was great.
I really particularly liked the outfit that Mary Margaret was wearing during the date. She was wearing this like white dress with flowers on it with a pinkish reddish cardigan.
Yep.
And it looked so good.
Yeah.
And it really fit the character of what we know of Mary Margaret. She's very pristine. She's very kind of innocent. She's very cutesy, and she doesn't do much wrong. And that outfit especially just screamed, I'm a nun. Like,
yeah, and that's that's excellent, wardrobe choice. She's modest.
Yes.
She's modest, and when she was explaining what she wanted from Dr. Well, there was this sincerity coming from her, and she's just pouring this out while Dr. Whale is, ogling, Ruby.
So disrespectful.
Yeah. And then, of course, we got to, give kudos to Cinderella's dress.
Cinderella's dress was amazing.
Yeah.
And I say that not liking Cinderella. I like the actress and stuff like that, but the character of Cinderella, even like Disney Cinderella, I don't like. So for me to say she looked amazing in this Cinderella dress, she looks amazing in this Cinderella dress because I cannot stand Cinderella.
She did look good. And I'm not sure why Gabby has these feelings about Cinderella. I've been trying to flesh it out for years.
I just don't. I'm a Belle girl, and Ariel and Jasmine. She is too complacent for me.
Complacent?
Is complacent the right word?
Is it? I don't know.
Well, like, okay, so like, you know how Ariel was like, I don't like my circumstances, I'm going to change them. And Jasmine was, I don't like the box I'm being put in, I'm going to change it. And Belle was, I don't like the circumstances that I'm in, so I'm going to do my best to make the best out of them. And Cinderella's like, I'm going to wait for my fairy godmother to fix it. I'm going to wait for the prince to fall in love with me. I'm going to wait for the prince to find me to put the shoe on my foot. I'm going to wait. It just, where's your action in life?
So, I disagree because Cinderella had very limited agency. And if you guys remember the movie, she did try to take some action. Hey, she wanted to go to the ball. She made her own dress, and it was destroyed.
Okay, that's fair.
You know, she tried, and the fairy godmother came. So you got to give her some grace.
She made a dress.
She made
Good
a
job.
dress, and she was ready to go to this ball. And no, not only can you not go to the ball, I am going to lock the door to make sure you can't. Lady Tremaine was awful.
I feel like I've become Lady Tremaine. And from this perspective, you see Lady Tremaine in the Disney, because I've seen the Disney movie multiple times, trying to force myself to like it. You see Lady Tremaine in her bedroom, laying on her bed with her cat. In that essence, I am Lady Tremaine.
Yes, I agree.
Laying in bed with my cat Oliver, just chilling, watching wrestling and shit. Like, I've become Lady Tremaine.
I think that's either a cry for help or just a warning to not be.
And my cat is kind of like Lucifer. He's mean.
Yeah.
My
he
cat,
is.
I love my cat to death. He is the meanest cat. Well, no, even to me. I was going to say except for to me, but he's even mean to me.
Yeah.
He loves me, but he's mean to me.
Yeah. He definitely has his own agenda, you know, just like Lucifer. He does his thing how he wants to do it, independent of the lady.
Yeah.
So this was a parallel I wasn't expecting.
I always think about it when I think of Cinderella. I was like, no.
See, this is what you get with the podcast. You get a review of a great show, and you get psychoanalysis.
Yeah.
There you go.
It just, I feel the same way about Sleeping Beauty. I can't stand her either. I really can't.
What did she do?
Nothing. That's the problem. She does nothing.
She's a princess. And
I'm
she
a
was-
princess. I do stuff.
She was just going off doing princessy things. And then she got poked and put into a coma. Where is your sense of decency about these characters?
It's Cinderella and not Snow White. I love Snow White. Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. I just cannot stand them. I can't. Snow White, I'm great with. Belle, I adore. Ariel, great. Jasmine, amazing. Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty can jump off a cliff. I don't care. They shouldn't. I won't even buy Disney princess stuff if they're on them. Like, you know, those like notebooks and stuff that have all the Disney princesses on it. If it has Cinderella on it, I won't buy it. Or Sleeping Beauty on it, which limits my choices tremendously.
Please comment if you agree with this woman. Please let us know in the comments. Do you guys like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty? Is Gabby right?
I am right.
Am I wrong?
You are wrong.
You can tell me. Please comment.
As
and
I
let me
told you
know.
before, earlier today when we were talking, and I said, I'm not always right, but I'm very rarely ever completely wrong. I'm not wrong in this.
Well, we'll see. We will definitely see. We will definitely see. On that note, this concludes our second episode of Banter and Binges.
Okay. So thank you for spending time with us. Next week, we'll be watching Once Upon a Time Season 1, Episodes 5 and 6.
Please join us then. Talk to you.